Learning about Gemara, and just quickly want to add something to yesterday. We're learning about Machlekas Milsi, and that we're learning about that if a child carves out a cave for his father, and I said that it's talking about that you cannot use a cave for anybody, not just for the son, because that's how the Gemara thought in the beginning. Because when we thought that the problem was Hasmona Milsi, that when you set it aside to your father, that cave now belongs to your father, even though you didn't bury him there. Then it doesn't matter who it is, you cannot bury there. It's only the very maskana of the Gemara that we said has nothing to do with Hasmona Milsi, it has to do with Kavod Aviv. Then it's only the son who cannot be buried there. There's a fascinating machlekes in the Achronim, brought down in Piskut Shulchan, whether the son can, let's say, okay, it's only Kavod Aviv, but other people can be buried there. Can the son sell it to other people? Can the son give it away to other people? Because that's what it sounds like in Pashtus. And there's a number of poskim that says, no, he can't. Kavod Aviv doesn't allow that either. What it means is that if this cave was made b'makom hefker, so it doesn't belong to the son, then anybody else can go there and be buried there. But the son, not only that the son can not bury, that he himself cannot be buried there, nor can he get anyone else to go there. Big machlek is also if grandchildren are allowed to be buried there or not, because the machlek is whether there's a mitzvah of kivud zaken or not. It's one of the only places, if I remember correctly, it's the only place I remember where the Ramah Shulchan bases the whole halacha on a Rashi and Chumash, that you have a mitzvah to honor your grandparents. He brings the Rashi and Chumash, that's his makar. Others disagree, Marik, and so on. He talks about it. So, anyway, getting back to the Gemara over here, we're middle discussing the story of Yoav, who seems to be a very complicated person. A very complicated person, and we'll see he's a tzaddik, he did awful things. So the Gemara continues now. So Right Shalom Melech had to kill Yoav. And the question is, why is he killing him? What did he do wrong? So B'kitzur, he did a number of things wrong. Avner was again, obviously worked for the general for Shaul, and Avner was a big tzaddik, but he was a general Shaul. Yoav was a general for David HaMelech, and without going to Holarichas, initially Avner was against going to David, because even after Shaul passed away, because he darshan from the psukim that you have to have two kings in Sheva Binyamin, so therefore he wanted Ishbaishas, and then eventually he wanted to sue for peace, and he went to David HaMelech, and they made peace between each other. And before we did that, Avner once met Yoav, and he said, let's our kids play together some kind of war and see who wins. And then when Avner, and they were on good terms, then when Avner was going home, Yoav's brother chased after Avner and must try to kill him. And Avner killed Yoav's brother. So Yoav felt that he was a Goyal Adam. When Avner tried to make peace with David HaMelech, Yoav was very upset. And when Avner was going home, Yoav, I guess, secretly sent a message to Avner, come back, everyone to see you again. So Avner thought that it's correct. So he came back, and then Yoav killed him. That was that. And then there was another person, Sheva Bichri, rebelled against David HaMelech, and David sent someone else to kill Hamas. He told him to send him to go kill Sheva Bichri. And it seems that David HaMelech was very upset with Yoav, and Yoav thought that this guy's going to become the new general, take over my position. Killed him. And he was a very, very vicious man. Yeah.
But Shloim Melosh and Sholem, who did build the Mikdash, his tzavah from his father was killed. This guy killed. This guy killed. That guy.
But each one there had to be killed up here. It's like a bezdin. Even that's not called Yom Dam. Fighting all the guys had all these wars. Yeah, but Shloim had no wars. He was just carrying out the halacha, because you'll see him in why Yoav was killed. And he was, because Yoav was killed for whatever reason, because he's a traitor, also see and Shimon. Now, Yoav did not support Avshalom, but when Adoniyahu later on rebelled against his father, Yoav supported him, because first Yoav was upset. He realized that David is going to fire him and hire this other guy to become the general. And plus, David was much older, and he thought that David is so feeble and old now, he can't do anything anyway. So that's where Yoav rebelled against David HaMelech. So now knowing that history, let's know the Gemara. Says the Gemara, I see Lev Diner. So they brought over there. They sat down to work out with Yoav why he gets killed. I'm like, my time at Katalti Avner. I said, why did you kill Avner? I'm like, my brother Shaul Avner killed my brother. I'm the next of kin, the Goyal Adam. I remember I told you that Ashol chased Avner after they played those games, and Avner killed him. I'm so right of Haber, but Avner had every right to kill him because he was a Roidif. The rule is, we'll learn later on that if you can defend yourself by just wounding him, you have no right to kill. The same thing the law is today with the police. He couldn't. It's only if he can. He can't. You know, Avner was such a warrior. He got it right between the fifth rib, which is with the gall, which is the gallbladder and the liver arm. When he punctured there, he bled to death. So in other words, he was so accurate. That means he was very composed. He's the fifth thing. How can you tell me he couldn't handle it? Now there's big machlek is the Rambam and the Ravid. If the Rambam Pearl doesn't say about that you have to kill you have to kill matzah one day about him. And wait a second. Get back to a second. He got him within the fifth rib where the gallbladder and the liver are there. So and he couldn't do one about him. Nasal Avner. Okay, drop it off the table. Okay, we're not going to charge you because of Avner. We're not going to charge you because of Avner. As Rashi says, Dina shel Avner potter atulov your potter. So first of all, the Machlek, the Rambam, the Ravid about whether we have to say Yochel Hatzamech Shleibar. The Rambam says you don't have to, and the Ravid said, what about the story of Avner? So they all want to say that the Rambam learns like Rashi. Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi says Dina shel Avner potter atulov. In other words, not that you did the right thing, but we're not going to punish you for it. So therefore, the Rambam says, so we're not going to punish for killing him. The Mishnah Melech says that this din that Yochel Hatzel Echel Levodav replies to a third party, but not to the Nirdif himself. Just like the Nirdif doesn't have to give Hasra because he's all confused, so too he doesn't have to worry about Yochel Hatzel Echel Levodav. So they all ask from Avner. But then on the other hand, that's not a kasha. The same reason Moses says it here. Avner could have. When do we say you don't have to? Because the Nirdif is all confused, befuddled. But Avner, the Moses says right here, wasn't confused. He was very on top of his game. So therefore, you can't bring a knife from Avner. Next one. My time gets out to Lamosa. So why did you kill the other general? Lamosa wanted to kill Shavim Bichri. What happened was the following. See what it says. I want you to gather people, get an army together, and in 3 days I want you to go and fight Shavim Bichri. And he was delayed. Now, the fact that Donald told him 3 days and he was delayed, he's a Moed Malchus. That's a Moed Malchus. He didn't carry out the instructions that he's meant to do. So they said to him, listen, Amos had every right to delay. You know why? Because he dashed Achin ben Akin. What do you mean? Ashkechinu, the Pasal Mesechta. He saw that they were learning Gemara, a Mesechta of Gemara. The people in Yehuda. How can I take them away from learning Torah to go to the army? Now we're talking about there's a rebellion here. Shavim Bichri was rebelling. How can I take these people who are learning away from learning? It says the pasuk, any person that doesn't listen to you, anything you tell them, you must be killed. But then it says, rak chazak v'ametz, be strong. What's rak? Rak always is an exception. Rak and ach always means to be mayit, right? Every time comes an ach or rak, it comes to make exceptions. So therefore, he learned what's exception. I would have thought even if they're middle learning Torah, schlepped them away to go to the army. Rak. How poignant it is today. But interesting. We're going to learn about a minute ago that we need people learning Torah while other people are fighting the army. And we'll have a mitzvah soon after Sanhedrin Shavuos. We'll have a Gemara Shavuos where the Gemara, the Eibush says, interesting what the Eibush says there. He says, my kedem, we'll see it in the Lamitz, my kedem I want to maintain, and the Rashi says there, I want 1/6 of the population to be learning, and the other 5/6 can go fight the war. You'll see Rashi there, fascinating Rashi. We had the Gemara in the Dorn, remember why Avram, Avram was punished, or Asa was punished because he made Angaryim, pulled people away from learning so they can go fight a war. But then the whole machlekes is regarding Mechemes Mitzvah versus Mechemes Ashus, what the Geder Mechemes Mitzvah is, which is more Seita for another time. So you what do you call it? So therefore, Yoav, and that's halacha, by the way. That even the king tells you to do something, but if you're pulling away from Torah, he can't pull you away from Torah. So Gemara says, so why do you have Takatiz to be killed? He's exonerated from killing Avner. He thought that he was a Moriba Malchus. He didn't know this people about Achin Verakin, so he can't call Yoav a murderer. He was a shaygig at best. So what is it? The only reason why Yoav doesn't be killed is because he himself was a Moriba Malchus. It says, "Vashmua bo ad Yoav." The word came out to Yoav. Yoav not to Achar Adoniyo. Avshalom not. He didn't join Avshalom, but he joined Adoniyo. Now the obvious question is, and I don't really know the answer, why did Gemara just say that in the first place? What do you have to give a whole pshat till he killed this guy? Indirectly, he did the wrong thing here, did the wrong thing there. He was a Malchus. He joined the rebel forces against David. I mean, what do you need more better than that? My Leinata, he wanted to join Avshalom, but he decided not to. My time Leinata, why did he join Avshalom? David was still in his heyday, he didn't want to start up with David. That the strong soldiers of David were still there. If you remember having one before, the Buddha said, name of Rab, David had 400 children, and then Shane talk about how do you have so many, and he only allowed, whatever he's wondering more. So the Rashi says in Kedushin is because they weren't really his children, soldiers, but because he was the king, it's like his children.
It's the Buddha who believe in astrology.
Yeah, it actually says here, but he doesn't mean that. He doesn't mean that. Look at Rashi. It's signified the Chol Hashas Lashon Mazolos v'Chayzin Gechavim. Our astrologers, but these people are called that. I'm quoting Rashi. I'm sure David Nismech Aleim. He relied on them, but Isa Al Piyam, and he followed their direction. Like people who follow the stargazers, this is what your constellation is. Blindly they follow, so David will follow them. That's what Rashi seems to be saying. But these were soldiers. They were because they didn't have Yiddish Penema. The goyim got scared. They're like, these are ours, and they're fighting. They're defending David HaMelech. Well, Megadli Bludid has different opinion what a Bludid is. If it's one part of the head or in the middle of the head. They were always in the forefront. The Hain Bali Agreshah David. These are the strong men from David. This all argues. So here we're saying that Yoav did a wrong thing. Right? It sounds like Yoav was a terrible person. And this argues that Abba Bakana. Remember Abba Bakana, Ilmoli David. If David wouldn't be sitting and learning Torah, he would not have a look at Ashil Molly David. Shaya Oisig Betaida, David learning Torah. Loy Asa Yoav Milchama, Yoav would not have done Milchama. Avos Chusa Shal David, the Chus of David Melech learning Torah. I met is like the Yoav. The soldiers need people learning Torah. But B'Milchama Shal David. Clear. On the other hand, Lil Mola Yoav, you don't have an army that's out there fighting, then Loy Asa David, how would David have to learn Torah? You need to somehow or another marry the two together. At the same time, Yeh was on the army. Matam David also because Yeh was an army. Matam Yeh and why was Yeh able to succeed on the forefront, on the army front? Should David David. And David, now we're telling you what Yoav did. When he left David HaMelech, he sent messages to Avner by Yoshivu Oisa. He brought him back with Boyd Hasidah, talking about a place. But the question is, why Taka did Avner get killed? My Boyd Hasidah, what's this Boyd Hasidah? Omra Baba Bakana, Boyd Hasidah Magor Maloila Avner Shiharik. The Boyd and the Sidah caused Avner to be killed. What was his Aveda? Sachakal Avner. When he had an opportunity to defend David HaMelech before Shaul, and Shaul in fact was sort of inclined that way, Avner stopped it. When David HaMelech snuck in, Shaul went to the bathroom, and then David went and stole his jug of water, and then he screamed out to Shaul, "You see, if I really wanted to kill you, I could have killed you. I have your jug of water." And Shaul started thinking that maybe David is an innocent person. And Avner right away said, no. Maybe one of the soldiers put it down there, and David just took it. And another case is when he cut off a piece of his coat. They're all sleeping. He cut off a piece of his garment. And David said, "You see, if I wanted to kill you, I could have." And again, Avner said, maybe a piece got stuck on a thorn. See, there's a thorn. And that's what happened. So unfortunately, he could have prevented the whole tzara. He didn't. Now, what's interesting is, and I think one of the Mepharshim pointed out, our Gemara just says by Rasida. How in the world would you know what it is? It's a long Rashi here. Where did Rashi get it from? See the Shalmi. So they wanted to have a theory that our Gemara obviously went through the Holy Shalmi, and certain things they decided, you know what? We'll rely that everybody who learns Babli also learns the Shalmi, and they'll get to know the story. There's no Rashi in those days, and the Gemara says nothing here. Boy Vasida. How in the world do you know Boy Vasida? So Bechanan brings it to Yerushalmi. Rashi Rashi doesn't mention that it's in the Yerushalmi. He just brings it, the story. Anyway, it comes straight from the Yerushalmi. So Yoav tricked what do you call it? Avner, and he said to him, "I want to talk to you about Bashali. Bashali means peace. Let's make peace." However, but Merel Dashin means something else. We really find the Lashon Shal. Shal also means remove your shoe. So this is what he did. First of all, the Yoav decided that he's going to pass him like Sanhedrin, that the Avner deserves to be killed. Only my time I could tell you what do you call it? So they would going through the Sanhedrin again. He was trying to justify himself. My time I could kill Ashol ready for you. He asked Avner, "Why did you kill Ashol, my brother?" He said, "Why? Ashol ready for you." In other words, Yoav was acting the Sanhedrin. Why did you kill my brother? He said, "Ashol, he was right. If I should have just wounded him." I couldn't. You were so accurate. You were able to get a rib. What do you mean he spoke to him Bashali peace? I have a shayla to ask you about a shoe. Which mitzvah do you have to remove a shoe? But I have a question to ask you. I'll see what he did. He hit him exactly the same. He's also a very, very skilled warrior, Yoav, and he killed Avner the same way he killed his brother. Fit for him. So why did you have died? Because he killed two tzaddikim. So the Tanakh says that Avner was a tzaddik. We had other Gemaras, he was a tzaddik, Godel, and we had and that's why David cried a lot when Avner was killed in that first was a tzaddik, saying, "Well, he wanted people to know the instructions didn't come from me. I wanted to make shalom with Avner. He wanted the people on his side, and also Lashal. The Taivim men are much better than him. Why? They were better than him because they knew a king has limits, boundaries. Even though whatever king says has to follow, but now it's against the Torah. So they wanted to pull people away from learning to go fight Sheva Bichri, and he said no. And even though there was a Sheva Bichri was mounting rebellion, and tzaddikim shehein bepevla, and why they're better than you? David gave them instructions clearly what to do with the Asu. They didn't listen. But who beget us? Asa. He got a letter from David HaMelech about placing Uriah Achiti on the front, and he listened, even though Uriah Achiti didn't deserve it. Now, even though the Gemara says Uriah Achiti was a Moed Malchus, because he says Adonai, he called Yoav my master in front of the king, but you shouldn't have done that. But Yoav didn't know that conversation. So as far as he was concerned, he was an innocent person, and he just got a letter. He shouldn't have done it. They were Taivim men. Before you say, how could Yoav do it? Because Yoav said, "I'm not doing anything. I'm just a groma. I'm not killing anybody. I'm sending it to the front. It's the Amonim who killed. So therefore, I didn't do anything wrong." Anyway, says who begins also when he wasn't careful. So he wasn't choshed that he would do that. Now, what's the story? But I didn't tell you what happened there. When the story with the shoe was, he said to him, "Tell me, a Yavama woman that has no hand, how does she do the chalitza? How does she take the shoe off?" So Avner bent down to show that you use your teeth. And as he bent down, Yoav took his sword and killed him. So he was very conniving as well. Right. But you were based on a midbar. It says that buried Yoav in his house in the midbar. What do you mean a midbar? Out to base of midbar who? What, his house is a midbar? Now the Gemara says what kind of tzaddik Yoav was. I want to know what I have. Midbar, his house is like a midbar. My midbar mufkul koil, just like a midbar. It belongs to everybody. Av basis Yoav mufkul koil. Just like anybody can go into midbar, his house is open to every single person. They wanted tzedakah, food, anything else. It was open to everybody. It was a big baal tzedakah. It's clean from any theft or any avedis aroyas, immorality, because nobody's there. Af basis shayim nuka megillah aroyas. Look how it's a complicated figure. Says that you're such a big tzaddik. The Yoya Yichya Shari, when he gave life to the rest of the city. I mean, I feel the Munini V'Tachliko, different kinds of fish. Toyim, pardon me, I used to give out to everybody. It was unbelievable chesed. So what do you have from the end of the day? Who was Yoya? A complicated person. Had Naloch Nigman Hadid. Ultimately, maybe whatever in his mind, whatever he did to defend the honor. He was loyal to David HaMelech, and he did whatever to defend the honor of David HaMelech. But when David HaMelech finally decided to fire him, then everything changed. Arba misses, we continue now the 4 different misses. Nimshul, Bedouin, Bezan, Skila, Seif, Hedev, Chenek. Now, Shimon says, Sreifa, the order is according to Chachamim, Skila is the strictest, Sreifa is next in line, and we're going to go through each one, what exactly you did. Hedek is the sword, and Chenek is a strangulation. If Shimon says, no, Sreifa is the strictest, Skila. And Skila. Chenek is the next, third one, and Hedek is the easiest one, as we'll see in a later. Mitzvah and Skala. We already mentioned Mitzvah and Skala, now we'll go through the rest. I think about Amar Abba, Marav Chayda, Marav Huna. Call Makam Sheshano Chachamim Derech Minyan. Whenever the Chachamim say a number 4, Ein Muktam Mucha. Just because we list 4 doesn't mean that one is more chashuv than the next. Arba Avos Nazik. Doesn't mean one is more chashuv than the next. Chutz Meshiva Saman. Only exception is when it comes to determine whether the blood is the blood of a nida or the blood is it's just a dye. So you have to put 7 different kinds of chemicals there or things, and the order of the chemicals are very important. And the idea is that if after the 7 chemicals it washes it away, that means it's blood. If it doesn't wash away, it's a dye. But if you don't follow that particular order, it proves nothing. What's the order? 7 avoid a stain, reik tuffel, bland saliva. First thing in the morning you wake up, you haven't eaten anything, so that saliva is bland. Umei grisin, and beans that are crushed. The water of it. Umei aglayim. Now very interesting. We normally touch metaglyim as urine. I'm sure everybody touches the metaglyim as urine. We say in davening, why don't you bring metaglyim basically if it's good for potatoes and only what? You don't mean because they're covered. Big machlek is what metaglyim is, even though we always touch urine. Now those who say that metaglyim is the name of a place of a spring water called metaglyim, and the reason why we don't use it is because of the name. Purely because of the name. Just like on Pesach kidneys, we don't need corn. What does corn have to do with kidneys? It's the name corn because dogon. It's the name. Exactly, it's the name itself. The name itself. There's a third opinion that metaglyim is actually some kind of a herb, not water. It's a herb called metaglyim, and also because of the name you don't use it. Sorry, if it's the spring, it has a terrible stench. It's not the name; it has a terrible stench. But the name of that spring is called metaglyim. Because they say it's impossible we would have thought that metaglyim would be a good thing. You need to tell me that's not covered. Why would you bring metaglyim in the first place in the base of Mikdash? Yeah, but I guess it's not. We ourselves would realize it's impossible. Okay, metaglyim. Then you have the nessa, which is some kind of a chemical, nitrate. Rashi says, well, boilers, which normally soap, but some kind of a chemical, and then camellia, some other kind of chemical. Rashi says on some of them he doesn't know what it is. If he doesn't know, I definitely don't know. And ashlich. Uktani say for Havinish, like if he didn't do the order, it doesn't work. So this is the only place you have an order. Rapapa Sava, introduced to Rapapa, but the older Papa, not the Papa the Talmud of Rava, but Rapapa in the times of Rav. Mashmei the Rav Amar Af Arba Mises over here also. There's an order here, obviously. The Chacham say first Skila, then Sreifa, then Chenek. That means Dafka in that particular in order of severity. But the Arayim, the Kamat Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon argue he changes the order. It means they're very particular about the order. Shmami, no, Daftik, this is it. The Idach and the Rava says we're not arguing. The Pluk the Lekamaiti. It's obvious they're arguing. That's what they're arguing about. What's actually arguing? They're arguing about the order. Rapapa said, I'll give you another place. Av Seder Yuma. Also, the Seder of Yom Kippurim as well is there as well. The Tanya Tanah we learn. Sorry.
Really an order here in terms of you have to do these 4
No, you're right.
Order you do it.
He meant order in the Mishnah. Why does the Mishnah bring numbers at random? The Mishnah says a number at random, just lists the things, or there's a specific kavanah behind it. And the kavanah is a chshivas. By dam, it's not a question of chshivas. Dam is this is how it works. This is how it works. Here, it's a question of chshivas.
which is more fun.
Yeah. So now that oh, you'll soon see. You'll see that there's a machlekes. You'll still see. So you know, but if you don't follow this order, as we'll see, is it still good or no good? So he says, what about Seder Yuma? What does say Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur. Now, come as Kippur, we don't want to say that all the activities of Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol loves is in an order, and you have to if you reverse the order, it's no good. So they're also an order is the thing that we go through. There's mamish a particular order. Why don't you count that? The Eidah Dama says, I agree with you, but ahu chumra b'alma. What do you chumra b'alma? It's not a din. It's not because this particular activity is more chashuv than that. It's a day Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur demands that this is the order should be. I'm talking about the things themselves are listed according to their chashivas. And Yom Kippur is because the day of Yom Kippur needs a certain order. That's not. I'm not talking about that. Interesting, he calls that chumra. He meant it's a chumra outside that it's not because of itself. It's because of an outside and external thing. Then Gemara continues. I've said that Tamid. Rabbi Yehuda says also the Seder of Tamid. The Kabbalah says, well, how you have to do is this. The Tanna we learn Zeh is Seder Tamid. That this is the Seder of Tamid. Says the Gemara. That's a lechatchila. If you don't follow that particular order, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When so what's he trying to say? Well, Rabbi says every single time, and not what? What's he trying to say? He's trying to say that you might think there's a particular order. I want you to know there's no order in this case. Because those who want to say there is an order, and that is by a chalitza. She says, he doesn't want to marry me. And he says, and then she says, if you reverse the order, no big deal, still yaitzer. He's trying to say that chalitza, there's no order. But now we learn mitzvah chalitza, he and his sister go for a bezin. First we give advice. If he's an old man and she's young, we would say, look, it's not for each other, or vice versa. She never said, they speak to him, they tell him. This is not suitable. We don't think you should go ahead with the yibum. Let's do the chalitza because it's not right. Okay, so he I met her. She says, "Man, you want me?" She said, "Look, the guy doesn't want to marry me." Right, and who I met, he says, "Lo chafasti lekachta." So she says, he says, that's what it says. Uvalashon lakodesh. I mean, it's spoken kodesh. And he said, and then it says, "V'nuksha yevemtay elov le'eni askenim." She stands before the skenim of the sea. The cholzanal moves the shoe, the yog before him, and then she spits in front of him. And roik hanida, they have to be able to see the spit. And then she says, "Karcha ya'asa lish." The very same expression we say regarding a Haman. Karcha ya'asa lish. The nikra shmai be Yisrael, and they'll call it Beis Chalutz. Now, so therefore, Rabbi Yehuda says mitzvah chalitza, the mitzvah is koira. She first says, then the koira, then he says choy. Let's say she then removes the whole seder here. Removes the shuv, right? Kekes, big koira, and then she says again. So he comes along in the name of Rav Chayda and says it doesn't have to be. If you don't do that order, it's still all right. Says, what about it? That's the whole chiddush of what he's trying to say. Everywhere else, it doesn't matter if you follow the order or not. Now, but we ask, my kamashla masisach of Mishnah. Kamashla. So he comes to tell you, mitzvah hachi. This is only a mitzvah. The afich leslaba. But we don't really care. This is the format. We don't really care. Whether she remove the shoe before the spittle, or to reverse the order, masha asa asa. So that's one thing that the Rav Chayda is saying there. It's not so important the order. Another place. Now we learned Kohen Gadol mishamish b'shmoina kelim. A Kohen Gadol wears 8 vestments. A hedyed ba'abo and a hedyed. Kohen hedyed wears 4. Big sign is he wears the tunic, that long shirt that goes all the way down to the bottom, and pants, with trousers. There, mitznefes, a hat, va'avdit, and a gartel. Now, this is the order. So it says it first the ksainis, then michnasayim. But we know that you put on the pants first, even though it's not according to the order here. Exactly. And the kohen gadol, moisiv alein, chayshin, and the ephod, and the me'il, and the tzitz. But the first thing you put on is your pants, which is number 2 in that list. Remember, it says, Has to be directly on the flesh. So my time active explain. So why Taka didn't learn the order? Why did you change the order and put the explain first? Because that acme krok the posits is first. No, because my time active why Taka the posits first? Because covering the entire goof is a better thing. It's a more chashvan. That's all he mentioned for it. But we're trying to say that there the order is not important. Exactly. But even though the poil, so that's what I was saying here. Okay, Skila Sreifa says the Gemara. How do you know that Skila is the strictest? Skila Chamar Sreifa, Skila strictest Sreifa. Shekei Nitna LeMegadif LeOid. Can you think of two worse Avedas than Megadif Avodah? Right, the blasphemer and the idol worshiper, and what's that punishment? Skila. So obviously, Skila is the stringent, is the fairest of all the punishments. Right, the Gemara. This is a very difficult Gemara to understand. Rashi himself has a little bit of a problem with the Gemara. So Gemara says, "My chumra." What's the chumra? She can't push your because you're opposing the Abish themselves. Adrabah isn't streifa mechamer. She can't nitna lebas koyin shezinsa. A bas koyin. A bas Yisrael's mezana gets chenek, but a bas koyin gets streifa. If she's a married woman. Well, my chumra. So why is that a chumra? She came mechalelas as a veer. Can you understand that? That mechalelas zaviyah should be stricter than opposing the Eibishter? Now, the Chinuch writes that the mitzvah of kibbud of the aim is really a mitzvah of kibbud mechabed the Eibishter. Why did the Eibishter give us the mitzvah of kibbud of the aim? So we should get used to being mechabed the Eibishter. Give you somebody who provides for you the idea of showing appreciation. So, yeah.
Some ways the word
Which it says equal. Yeah, but here the poil you're over the disorder. The poil you're going against the Eibishter. So maybe the pshat is. So this is according to Chinuch, Mechalel Zaviyah is the positive of Mechabed the Eibishter. So in a way, you're again, it's almost like a Avodah Zarah in a way because you're not being Mechabed the Eibishter, but you're doing two Avodas there. Say you're Mezana, say she's Mezana, and she's going against the Eibishter. Mashen came in the case of Megadif and the case of Avodah Zarah, you're only doing one Avodah, and maybe that's what the Gemara means. Not that I saw that anyway. I'm just trying to think that maybe that's shot. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand. So the Gemara, Ksavir about a hold. Now this is even more difficult. Look at the Gemara says it. If you ever heard of circular reasoning, this is it. Ksavir about a hold. 1 second. Rabbanon say you want to say a bas koyim. Nesuya yoytzel l'sreifa. A married Yisrael gets chenek. A married bas koyim gets reifa. Right. So it shows you that a married bas koyim is much more serious than a married Yisrael committing adultery. They hold that Arusa does not get Sreifa. And Arusa, what's Arusa you Bas Yisrael get? Skila. A girl is engaged and she's Mizana, she gets Skila. So why would you drop from Skila to Sreifa Bas Koyin when the Bas Koyin is even stricter? So therefore, a Bas Koyin Arusa also gets Skila. And since a Bas Koyin, who normally gets Sreifa, when it comes to Arusa, suddenly she gets Skila, what does that prove? Which is stricter? Most difficult Gemara. It's called circular reasoning. Why did you decide to give a bas koyin skila? Because skila is stricter than sreifa. And now you're saying because we decided to give bas koyin. Rashi says he doesn't understand the Gemara. I mean, it's long Rashi. He just doesn't understand the Gemara. So Rashi therefore omits these words with the afka rachmon l'larus of skila. Where does the Torah say arus gets skila? The only reason why we give arus skila is because we've established that a skila is stricter than sreifa. So Rashi can't. So the point Rashi says, you know what? At the end of the day, the reason why skill is stricter is because Megadif Avodah Zarah is that's the Aveda and that's the punishment you get. That's why. And once we decide that, therefore Arusa gets skila, and that's the only way he can make sense of the Gemara. So we don't really answer about the Bas Koyin. Very difficult Gemara. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow.